All right. I hope I look good on the camera. All right. Welcome back to another episode of In True Form. I'm your host, Corey Truesdale. I have a special guest with me today, Miss Evy Soto.
Hey.
Rhymes with Chevy. Evy and I met on social media, and she is here to tell you her story on who she is and what she's about and what she's in front of as far as from a business standpoint and life standpoint. So, Evy, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yep. So my name's Evy. I am 37 years old. I reside here in the Durham area. I am a mom to 3-year-old Le'Veon, and I am very passionate about helping others. I've been trying to figure out where that passion really derived from, but it's just something that's always been in me from a child till now as an adult. And so I'm excited to be able to kind of share a little bit about myself with you guys, and hope you guys can take away a few nuggets or just be able to relate. I think that's my biggest thing is sometimes we don't discuss things, and I think it's powerful when you do share items about yourself, because a lot of people can really relate, is what I found out.
Well, I appreciate you coming. I appreciate you being here. I know sometimes it could be a little nerve-wracking not knowing someone and someone extending an invitation like that. So yeah, like everybody knows with In True Form, I'm here to create the platform and tap into a few questions to bring our guests out and have her tell her story. Evy, I'm going to start off with one of my questions that I have correlated for you. So when we talk about resilience and growth, your journey has been full of challenges, yet you've built something impactful. How was overcoming adversity shaped the person you are today?
So it's like a gift and a curse. I feel like resilience is my middle name. I've just kind of been thrown a lot of life challenges. But from that, each challenge has taught me a lot, and it's taught me just to, one, I'm heavy into relying on God. So I would say that is number one. I'm not the one that's in church every day, grew up in church or things like that. But I found myself just figuring out what that relationship looks like to me and how I speak to Him. And honestly, I think that's what's gotten me through a lot. And I think the challenges that I've gone through have just in my head resonated to like push. There's nothing that has happened that I haven't come out better on the other side. During those struggles, they're tough, they hurt. I want to throw in the towel, but it's just like something in me to keep going, and I always end up better on the other side. So every time I have a new challenge, I just think about all the little things that I've gone through before that have got me here, and I'm like, okay, this is happening for a reason. I will get through this, and then I will be better on the other side. So kind of speaking to both the resilience and the growth, it's like God has kind of put that in me, and then I also see the end result of the growth, so it kind of goes hand in hand for me. So
yeah, let's peel that layer back a little bit. So when you talk about the different things that you went through, what are one of those things that kind of made you shift gears in life a little bit?
I would say the biggest one was losing my mother. I had never lost a relative that I was really close to. So when I lost my mom, I had friends that had lost their parents, and I'm big on empathizing with others. And I was like, oh my God, I don't know what I would do if I would lose my parent. And then it happened. And in an odd way, I will say, if it had to happen, I'm thankful to a certain degree the way it happened, because I had time. It wasn't an accident or something sudden. My mom was diagnosed with cancer in February of 2013. It was a rare ovarian cancer. The doctors were a little pessimistic, so I didn't enjoy that part. As soon as they did the surgery on her to remove as much of the cancer as they could.
They didn't seem like they had any.
No. they kind of like ruled her out. I didn't ask for this information, but after the surgery, they were like, well, if she's lucky, she'll live up to 5 years. And to kind of process, your mom just got diagnosed with cancer within a week.
Right.
And this doctor has operated on your mom, and she's giving you this information. It's just like, why are you counting my mom out that quick? And I guess to them, it's just normal. That's what they do. But I didn't like her doctor from the get-go because of that statement. And it's like, if you're lucky, 5 years is nothing when you think about it. It goes like this.
Man, look, we was just talking before.
Yeah.
How things just changed instantly.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. And I'm listening. And like each time we would go to our appointments with her, I just felt very pushed off. Like our appointments had to be quick. And I'm the type that I'm going to research. So I didn't know anything about cancer in general. So I'm like searching. And then she had a rare called carcinosarcoma. And only like a dozen women get it per year or so. So I'm like researching. I'm in different forums, chatting with all sorts of strangers, seeing what worked for you, what do you guys try? And so I would bring this information to our appointments, and it was just like I was a bother.
Yeah.
I'm the type, I don't take no for an answer if I know that we can have a conversation about it, or that there's just more to it. Like, you're not going to just shut me up because you're wearing a white coat.
Yeah.
Part of me also felt that race could have played a part.
And we all know how that goes.
So I'm Hispanic. I don't have an accent.
I hear something. Trust me, I could tell. But go ahead.
And but my mother, you could tell, she had a heavy accent in English. So it was no hiding from her, and I was her advocate. That experience showed me how to really advocate for someone you love and care about, and not let the system get over on you. So I would see how they would speak to her, and I'm in the appointments with her, and then I would step in. The doctor was a white older woman, and I just feel like a lot of the things that we were not offered, how we were spoken to,
that played a lot of role in it.
Had to do with our race.
Isn't that sad though?
It is sad.
Isn't that sad that
still.
we still in that world? Like, you're a statistic. You're just a person. You're like a number in a sense, and it's like we're all the same. They don't even realize how much we're the same in life in general. Everything that people go through, we all go through the same thing.
That is very real. I experienced it again recently with my son. It really ticked me off. I'm in a financial challenging position right now as a single mom. I took my son to the ENT because he had a massive nosebleed. You would have thought someone came into his crib and tried to attack him. Like, it was really bad. First time mom, never experienced it. I want to make sure he's okay.
That's scary.
I take him to the ENT, and they're like, oh, you have a $100 copay. I'm like, okay, I can't pay for it now. Can you just bill it? And I get all sorts of looks. I get all sorts of like, oh, let's see if the doctor
urgency
will
changes.
See you. And I'm like, wow, over me not having $100, but I'm seeking care for my son. I gave them $5. They made me sit down, and 20 minutes go by, and they're like, well, okay, we'll get the doctor. And at that point, I could tell the doctor was weird. We were probably inconvenienced, and he probably was told, oh, she couldn't pay. And
of course,
our customer
they're briefed
service
all the time.
Yeah, because they were going in the back. And so I could tell his whole demeanor was like, oh, you're one of those.
That's crazy.
And, we're of color. And it was not welcoming. It was horrible. I really had to keep my composure because I was like, I don't want to get kicked out the building. But one of the comments he made to me was, because my child is autistic. So he does better at some appointments with his iPad. And I know my child, so I'm like, this is going to help him get through our doctor's appointment. And he called my child a screen kid. and he wanted me to take the tablet away. I said no.
That's insulting.
But it's
How did
like,
that make you feel though? Like, I know
felt
you're in a
like-
professional
yeah.
setting. You got a doctor in front of you.
Yep.
Got your kid in front of you, because us as parents,
Yep.
we can't tap into the street a little bit when we have our kids around. So, how did you feel when he said that? Like, what did you do?
I was so conflicted because all those thoughts went through me. I'm like, my child's in front of me. I don't want him to think it's okay to act out. Mm-hmm. I don't want to get banned from this building.
Mm-hmm. All of that.
Because all of what I'm about to say and do will get me banned.
Yeah.
And I just had to like hold it in and tell him, I'm not taking the laptop away.
Yeah.
This is how we get through our
This is
appointments.
helping. Yeah, this helps.
If you need me to maneuver it, I'll do that, but I'm not taking it away. And we went through the appointment. It was very dry. It was very blah. It was like the worst customer service. And I'm like, over a copay? And you're like prejudging me, not knowing anything about me. So it's very upsetting. So going back to my mother's case, where I really saw it was when her cancer treatment was not effective anymore. And I was noticing that she was bloating more in her stomach, more pain. And we asked for another CT scan. And they were like, oh, you're not due for one. I'm like, just write it.
Just do it.
Just do it. If I'm
Whether I'm
telling
due
you
for one or
something,
not.
right. So that was annoying. And come to find out in that time period, what was happening was the cancer was not receptive to the treatment anymore.
She was fighting it.
Yep.
Well, it was.
So it kept growing and spreading. So that's why she was becoming uncomfortable.
So they could have changed. They could have changed the meds and all of that stuff.
Or helped her with her pain.
Right.
Something.
Right.
But they were like, oh no, CT scan. I was like, okay. And so I just started hunting for second opinions. And I reached out to MD Anderson, Sloan Kettering, like big top hospitals. I didn't care where they were. I'm like, I'm going to help my mom because this doctor's not listening. We ended up going to Georgia to the Cancer Center of America. They were amazing. And so I shifted her treatment there because they were willing to try other stuff to see what would work. I knew, and my mom knew, this was all by her will as well. If we tried nothing, we knew what would happen. So she was willing to just try whatever we could. So we did. And we were going to Georgia every 3 weeks for her treatment. But of course, living here in Durham, we still had to go to Duke for any emergency type stuff. But what I noticed was as she got worse and I started complaining more to the hospital, then suddenly there's pain management care team. Oh, we're a year in. Wow, thanks for telling us. The worst part, and why I say I think race played a part, was my dad was at the hospital room with her, not me, and my dad as well has an accent. And when I put in a complaint that I wanted to switch her doctor because of all these things, my dad said they sent a team of all Hispanic doctors talking to him in Spanish. I'm like, we don't need no one to talk to us in Spanish.
Yeah.
We need people who care about my mom and providing the care that she needs.
Whole race thing.
So my dad is funny because he said he talked back to them in English. It's like we're not understanding.
Yeah.
We've been here long enough.
All assumption.
And it's like, where was all this stuff before I complained?
Yeah.
And had I not complained, would y'all even care that much about my mom's pain management?
Right.
So it was that kind of solidified. I'm like, okay, yeah. And then in the hospital for like her, because we were in and out so often, every 3 weeks, you start feeling like a number.
Yeah.
It's like, hurry up, get out, so we can get the next patient in. So
Right.
It's a really interesting dynamic in the healthcare field.
Man, more power to you, Evy. It's tough losing someone. Like, I haven't lost anyone that close, but I know people that have, and I know it can change your whole look on life. And not even just from the experience that you had, but just overall, like, man, I don't have my mom here anymore.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
That's the person that you call on, reach out to when you have a tough day. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I wanted to go off on this person at work today, with you and your mom, or, that close relative comforts you and they tell you those things. And when you don't have that anymore, I know it's tough. I don't have a relationship that I can say that's strong with my mother right now. So, but I do know that if something was to happen to her, I'll feel it.
Yeah.
But it's just, as far as from a mental space, I can't have that relationship with my mom right now, if you know where I'm getting at.
Yes.
We're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
And regroup. We'll be right back after these messages. I love saying that. And we are back. Thank you again for tuning in to this special episode of In True Form. We are going to continue on with our questions.
Okay.
And I wanted you to tap into a little bit what you were speaking on earlier. You mentioned that your son is autistic. So let's talk about the diagnosis, and let's talk about the advocacy for your son.
Well, this is going to be the first time that I share it outside of my inner circle, so I appreciate the ability to kind of start sharing bits and pieces of what that journey is like. To be honest, I could tell, because I'm very attentive and just very detailed, as my son was reaching 12 months or so, I could tell from the doctor's appointments that we weren't hitting certain milestones, but I was like, every child is different. But there were just some things, I didn't know it was autism, but I was like, he's not eating yet. It's a little off, even though we're a few months behind. I was like, he's not eating yet. And then he was saying like 4 words at a very early age, like 9, 10 months. He would say hola, bye, hi, and I think 1, like the number 1. And then a few months later, that went away. And I was like, is it because I'm not saying it as much?
So let me ask you, and I'm gonna let you finish. In that span, when he was speaking those 4 words, what do you think may have been the case? Like, what do you think may have happened? Do you think something may have happened? Do you think it was a doctor's visit or something? Or do you think, what do you think?
I was just thinking, oh, maybe it's me. Maybe I stopped saying it enough for him that now he's lost it, like lost the word. So I was a little confused. And then being a first-time mom, it's like you just don't really know. But as we kept going to his visits, I would air everything out to his doctor. He has an amazing doctor. I'm so thankful for his primary care doctor.
What's the doctor's name?
Dr. Krishna Alluri with Duke, and he's fantastic from day one.
When's the listener?
Yeah.
You know,
highly recommend him. He does adults and pediatrics. He is going to listen to everything that I ask and say. He shows the same concern that I show for my son. And if it wasn't for him, I don't know if we would have been on the track to really get the support that we needed. So it started with, let's get him looked into speech therapy. But what happened was, to get speech therapy, we had to get a hearing test. And so what we found out was he had fluid built up in both ears. And so regardless of autism or not, he was not fully hearing anyone. Yeah. So I was like, oh, maybe that's why his speech is delayed, because they were like, he hears everything like he's underwater, so he doesn't hear anything clear.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah. So they didn't know why he had fluid, but they put tubes in his ears to make sure it wouldn't build up again. And after that, we started speech therapy right away, and it's been helpful. He's still not going to speak as clear as others his age, but he has shown tremendous progress. But once the doctor had mentioned it could be autism and let's do an evaluation, I go into research mode again. And it took me back to my mom, which ironically...
Probably a little triggering too.
Yes. It made me feel like, why me again? It's not fair. Here I go being a caregiver again, and this is my son. It's like my mom and my son, like what other more important people are there in your life? So it was a very challenging mental, emotional space. At the same time, I am going through my separation, divorce process, how to be a single mom. It was just a lot.
You getting groomed up for something big. That's what it sounded like to me.
It has to be.
Because you was going through the mud.
And I'm glad you say that, because I have had to tell myself that, and other people will say the same thing, and I just have to really hone in on that, because I'm like, oh, I couldn't just get divorced and be done. Like, just deal with that thing. I had to be single mom, and oh, your child has autism. Oh, and do everything this, and you got to take them to all these extra appointments. It's like I couldn't just be a mom either. It's like 3 appointments for therapies per week. I have to work. And sometimes when you see your child around other children, I've kind of not been this way anymore, but at the beginning it's just like, I wish he wasn't like that. Or what did I do to be in this? What did I do?
I get it. You just feel like you're in a different box in a sense.
Yeah.
It's like you're separate from everybody else. And I know that's challenging. But what your story, just listening to it, your story is going to touch someone else that can be going through just as much of that type of adversity that you went through. It might just be in different categories, but they're going to look at that and they're going to be like, oh my gosh, a divorce, single mom, mother passing, autistic kid. Like, it's just layered. So
it's a lot.
You know, people go through so much, man. It's just, you know, recently my dad lives in Boston, and he had a driver's license situation where his driver's license was up for renewal, and something came up whereas he was having to pay a ticket from something that happened 30, 40 years ago. They wasn't going to give him his license. He was going to lose his job, all of that. He wound up fighting a police officer. Like, everything was just hitting him. He was in a car wreck, and he's in his 60s. And, you know, he talked to me, and he was just like, why am I going through this right now in my 60s? You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting there like, yo, that's a lot for a 60-something-year-old.
Yeah.
Just imagine you're being told you're not going to be able to work anymore. You're the sole provider of your household. You're not going to be able to work anymore. And boom, you got to, you know what I'm saying, pivot. And he had to drive all the way to New York to look into New Jersey to look into the reason why he could. It was just so much. And he was on a deadline. So, but yeah, man, I think I mentioned to you, my nephew is autistic. And he is, I want to say he's 18 now, 17, 18. I might be wrong, but it's my wife's sister's son.
Okay.
And he was, so we've been married going on 15 years. So Antoine was like, yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a ride.
Congratulations.
I appreciate that. It's a ride, but it's a good ride. You know, you're learning stuff every day. But yeah, he was diagnosed early, and with him, with the stories that she told me, she was like, you know, his childhood behaviors was normal. Oh, okay. And then it changed. And it was like a shift. So, you know, it's we'll talk about that offline, but it was just different. But he's functioning. He does well. Nice. He's a big guy. He's taller than me. He sees me like, Uncle Corey, hey, how you doing? But it's like, man, he's huge. And I remember when he was this big. So it's just crazy because I always look at, you know, autistic kids as special. Like they're gifted.
They're very unique. My son, right now at age 3, I don't know about other 3-year-olds, but if you ask him what's 10 plus 2, he'll tell you. He's known how to recite, how to spell his name since he was 2. Like, he is very advanced knowledge-wise. It's just a little bit of the social and emotional. And I don't like the stigma sometimes because if you're not in it, like you know about it firsthand. But people that don't have anyone autistic or don't understand that, they're like, he looks fine. He doesn't look autistic. And I'm just like,
so it's not always about the looks.
Do you need him to look like something? What do you need him to look like?
That's when people don't know what to say. People really don't be knowing what to say. Like, you could have the nicest outfit on, and they're going to be like, oh my gosh. I know you're happy to see how you look. Right. Like, what are you talking about? I'm happy to see what I look like. What are you talking about? We know how people are, and it's sad. But I want to dig into Dear Brown Mama. I want I want you to tell the people what's Dear Brown Mama.
Yeah.
And let's go into that a little.
Okay. So yes, thank you. Dear Brown Mama came out of the fact that I chose to have a kid at an older age. And I was finding myself with all of my friends had older kids. And when I say older, 10 and up, teenagers. I'm like, dang, I'm 35 years old, just had my first baby. Who's going to be my friends? So I'm like, okay, let me just find other people with kids in similar age range so they want to go to the park and do this stuff, because I know my homegirl, she's done with that life. She don't want to be over here. So one of my friends actually was also pregnant, and our children are 3 months apart. Her name is Jasmine. So her and I are the co-founders. And so it was a mix of us trying to find other women that are also looking for community. But what we found was, specifically here in the Durham, Raleigh area, was there were other mom groups that we were coming across, but nothing catered towards minority women.
Okay.
So I know specifically she would go to some groups and it was just different. It wasn't people that looked like us, so it just felt a little different, or people that could understand some of the challenges that we may have. And so her and I brainstormed, and she brought forth a lot of ideas like, let's try this, or let's do play dates, and it just became bigger and bigger. And now we're at like 700 plus members on our Facebook group, and we're just figuring out other ways of how to bring resources to moms. So we wanted to be a social community, but also really foster support and resources, however we can get that to moms, whether that's sharing events that's going on. Because believe it or not, when you're a mom and you're go, you just want people to give you information. You don't want to go hunt for it. So we're connecting with different businesses in the area too, to kind of provide either a new experience for our moms.
Okay.
We partnered with the Bunny Hive and Tutu School in Raleigh, and they allowed our moms group to come and attend for free, a free class with their kiddos.
Okay.
And then from there, it helps the businesses too, because then they're having some of our members sign up, or it gives them the exposure. We recently partnered with, we have a sponsor, New Leaf Pediatrics Dentistry. They're minority owned. I just took my son Wednesday, fantastic. And it just felt—
face just lit up when you said that.
because it just felt so good to support them. And it was just like full circle. We really are for the community, especially minority. And we just shared a post on our page of over 700 members. And I let my son do his appointment at the very end. I told the doctor, I was like, oh, I'm Evy, part of Dear Brown Mom. And he was like, oh, we're so thankful. We're so happy. We've had a lot of calls. It's like we really played a part in bringing moms a great dentist for their child that is minority. And then for their practice, it's like exposure. So it just felt really good. And I just had a mom lunch. So we do play dates for the family, or just mommy and me. We do mom lunches, mom outings, because women, we're not just moms. Like, we have a life too. So
Absolutely.
we really try to get into that too. And so I had a mom lunch yesterday, and we always get amazing feedback from the members. And that's what Jasmine and I really like, is like, oh, this is working. It's helping people, even if it's just for that one meeting that we did for an hour, hour and a half. It's like people really took something away, and that's what's fulfilling for me. It's like we're impactful.
Yeah.
And I know how helpful things like that can be for me, so I'm just excited that we're looking into growing this even more and working with more businesses in the Triangle, and we've got a ton of positive feedback. We just asked for volunteers because it's kind of getting out of me and Jasmine's capability of just us two doing it.
Starting to grow.
Yeah, so we have Kaisha on our team that helps.
Shout out Kaisha.
Yes.
I don't know who you are, but we're shouting you out.
She's amazing. And we're just like, oh, we just need more so we can give back more and have everyone hands-on. So
Right.
I'm excited. We're excited.
No, man,
so.
you should be excited.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna do something real quick. So, all the things that you've been talking about, through your mother, through your son, through your divorce. And we mentioned not too long ago that it's a build-up, it's a strengthening aspect. And look what you're doing.
Yeah.
Had you not gone through those things, or currently going through those things, do you feel like you would have the energy and the strength, the determination, and the drive to do what you're putting out there right now? Like it's something to think about, because if had all those things happen, would you be doing what you're doing right now?
No. I always think about, why did my mom leave me? But I have figured out, or maybe God told me, it's like she was the glue. And not that she was an enabler, but I depended so much on her. Like if I was having a bad day, I don't think I tackled certain obstacles.
Right.
I just went to her and she made me feel better.
Right.
And it wasn't until like she was removed that I'm like, okay, now I have to really go through it. There's not someone that I can just go and it's done and I ignore it. So I think it's made me really have to navigate through challenges without like your best friend, without that lifeline. And I think that's where everything else came out.
Yeah.
So I don't think so. So it's like a silver lining to her not being here.
Yeah. It
But
just
I'm
shows
just
that you
like-
have a greater purpose.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have to either, and I'm speaking of myself here, sometimes you got to actually remove people out your life, like I've had to do, to get to a different space in my life.
Yeah.
And then sometimes God takes people away for you to get to your next purpose. Sometimes God puts challenges in front of you so you can grow and become stronger there. Hence, you having your son being diagnosed with autism.
Yeah.
That created a different type of mentality for you that you probably didn't have. You probably didn't have the confidence, and this is just me speaking, you probably didn't have the confidence prior to your mom's diagnosis to be able to go into a room with white coats and say a certain way of saying something, do it a certain kind of way, or have your chin held up higher to talk to someone that may be condescending to you or insulting. So it's funny you mentioned earlier, it's just like, I always tell people as well, like I'm not churchy, but I know I know God's work. I know what he does. I know how he puts me in different positions. I know that if I ask for something, I know he's going to give it to me. It might not be in that time frame that I want. I still want $1 million. But
me too.
yes, she wants $1 million too. So, but I speak those things.
Yeah.
So I think I just love your story. And like I said, I'm real, uncanny and unfiltered. Evy sent me her bio. I read through it, and I was just like, man, I'm really interested in hearing how she's going to say these things, because you can read stuff, but it's not the same until someone is actually telling you exactly what the bio is about.
Yeah.
So you telling me the story is super impactful and super inspiring.
Thank you.
We're going to take another break. We'll be right back after these messages. Is my hair good? All right, hey, we're back, and we're going to be closing out this special episode today. Evy, it's been a pleasure having you on this episode. Learned a lot from you. I feel like this relationship is going to go a little further than just today.
Thanks.
I got a couple of last questions to share with the audience and with you.
Okay.
Is it still cool to say audience even though we don't have an audience?
Yeah, this is different. I've never talked to a camera. So it's a little weird, but yes.
Yeah, we'll go with it. All right, so we're gonna tap back into Dear Brown Mama.
Okay.
So building community and support. You're working towards turning Dear Brown Mama into a nonprofit. What's your long-term vision, and how can people support this movement?
Yes, our long-term vision is to be able to give back to the community. And that's one of our strategies as to why we're pursuing becoming a nonprofit, in search of like grants and just so we could give back. How giving back looks like to us is scholarships for kids or families in need. Take me for an example. I was just fine 2-3 years ago financially. Right now, I'm not. And it would be great if there was something where if I just need help with daycare this week, that I'm not stressed out or I'm not thinking about, okay, how do I get a second job? Because that's not even realistic. And it just causes stress. And it's like if we could have things where they're accessible to us, even if it's just that 1 week. You might need some gas money, like where we could just help mothers and kids and provide them scholarship needs. It could be diapers, but we don't have those resources right now to just give out of our pocket. But that's kind of the big vision is we want to be a staple in the community for fostering relationships, but also the give back part. And that's always been huge for me. And so I appreciate that my co-founder Jasmine is kind of aligned as well.
Shout out to Jasmine.
And that warms my heart, just being able to help, because I've been in positions where I'm like, I really could have used this, or where do I go? And navigating help when on paper you look like you should be doing good sucks, because everything don't qualify for.
Yeah.
Because all they do is look at your income. They don't look at your situation holistically and be like, if my mortgage is this, my car insurance this, my car, like just the bare necessities is this, how am I gonna get this other stuff?
Right.
So, I think about my situation and others, and I'm just like, I really want to bless others in providing for them, because you have no idea how one little thing could turn something around. So we have given back, though, thus far. We've been able, as a collective group, some of our members have given back for Thanksgiving and providing meals to 2 families this past year is what we did.
Good.
And then,
how was that feeling?
It's amazing. The families were so thankful. It was one family of just 2, and then it was a family of 10. And just for them to be so thankful that they didn't have to worry about, how am I going to have a meal for my family?
Yeah.
It just really touched my heart, because I'm like, they were able to have this and not worry about it. And then we partnered with an organization, Families Moving Forward in Durham, to adopt a family for the holidays. So we did that the past 2 years, and our members have donated gifts for a family of 2 for their children and the mother as well. So a lot of our members really come through, and so that's inspiring as well. Like, it's not just me and Jasmine that want to do this. It's like other people have this give back spirit as well.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
It's great. Yeah.
Man, check you out. Y'all don't realize, so y'all can only see what the camera is showing from a distance, but the glow in her face up close in person is super genuine and super great. I wish you guys can see this. I'm gonna close out with these last 2 questions.
Okay.
The future of you. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, knowing everything you've been through, what would it be?
This takes me back to my mom. It's going to be real simple. I think God may have been speaking through her, because my mom never told me these words any other time besides that last day that she was on earth, on her bed. And she kept telling me all day, it's like she was preaching to me. She kept telling me, do what makes you happy. Be happy. And I'm just like, okay. And it sounded like her goodbyes, but she was just like, you gotta do what makes you happy. Be happy. And I didn't understand why she was telling me that day. I'm like, you don't even talk to me this way. Like, you never said this before.
Right.
And I just think it was like the message that I needed to hear that was going to really live in me. Because I fall victim of being a people pleaser. I'm a first daughter, I took a lot of
The weight.
adult and the weight, and when I was taking care of my mom, it was just me. I have a brother and a father, not that they didn't want to, but they're men. They navigate things differently. I made it my choice to up and leave my job and my home in Greensboro and just move in with my parents to take care of my mom. I was the one staying with her in the hospital every 3 weeks for 3 nights for her treatment. And I just kind of went into that role, but it's like I had to grow up really fast, young, because my parents came here out of El Salvador and Guatemala. So English is not their first language. So as a 5-6-year-old, I'm translating and having business conversations and writing checks for them because I know English. So it's like I had to be kind of put in an adult position really young. And I don't know if maybe my mom recognized that and just didn't know how to have that conversation with me. And so I take up a lot of responsibilities. And I think her message was, for once, do what makes you happy. Stop doing always for others. It's a work in progress.
Yeah. I mean, when your heart is big, you know, it's hard to shift. Self-care is major, especially this day and age.
Yeah.
So that's great advice. My last question for you is, I'd like to ask my special guest is, what are 3 things that you're thankful for in life right now?
Believe it or not, I am thankful for my experiences. Looking back, it's like you can get there once you hit rewind and pause and look back, and you can see the fruits that come out of these places. I'm thankful for the confidence that I have now that I didn't before. I was a very shy child, and so different experiences have brought me to this place. And I am thankful for the child that I have. Even though I have the autistic, it's like God really thought about me and blessed me with a child that he knew I could help thrive. And sorry, I'm getting emotional.
No, you're good.
That like he thought that much of me to put me in this position where he knew I was going to handle it. I was going to get my child what he needs. I was not going to, give up. I'm going to be able to mold him and make him thrive in society. Whereas if he would have been born to someone else, maybe they weren't going to provide that. So to me, that's a blessing, and I feel like it just all comes full circle. My mom's experience kind of propelled me to be able to do what I do now, and my big heart. And it's just like everything he's done, it's like, here, I know you got it. I know you got him. And so when I get into my low moments, sometimes I'm like, this is not fair. I'm like, but no, he really thinks like, I got it.
Yeah.
And I do.
Yeah.
Like, and it's so great when people tell me how great of a mom I am. And they don't see me every day.
Right.
But I think they can just feel it. They can see it.
Yep.
When his teachers are like, you're awesome. I know you do this. A lot of parents wouldn't even, accept this or try to do this or get their child help. And they're like, you're on top of everything. And it makes me feel good because I am. And so it just kind of provides that reassurance and confirmation like, yeah, I'm doing everything the right way. So, yeah.
Man. I appreciate you opening up and sharing. My little Montel came out. Montel Williams came out. I had to get a little tear to come out. So,
I know.
I grew up watching Montel. So Jim Jones, Montel, those are my shows. And I was like, I got my first tear. I appreciate that, Evy.
Thank you.
Before I let you go, I appreciate you stopping by, doing this for me, an extension for you.
Thank you. Yeah.
I do want to offer you a free family session for you and your son.
Okay.
And also, I would like to offer my event photography services for you for no cost.
Thank
for
you.
whenever you have something going on with your nonprofit.
Okay.
And if I'm available,
nice.
I'll come through and get some shots for you so you can put for your website,
okay,
your social media, all the jazz.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Very helpful.
I appreciate you coming.
it. Thank you.
And
This is
thank you
good.
again, my In True Form audience. I still haven't found a name for you guys yet, but I will find it. I will figure it out so I can be able to call you
Yeah, you
something
gotta
other.
find something like, like Megan Thee Stallion has her hottie.
Yeah,
Like
Beyonce got the
something.
beehive. I need to find something for In True Form. But yeah, if you can come up with something,
Okay,
send me some ideas, and I can start asking. The second season, they're going to be known for something.
Yeah,
It's not
you
going
gotta come
to
up with
be
something.
In True Form, folks. It's not going to be that. It's going to be something far better. But thank you again for tuning in. Y'all have a beautiful day. Peace.
This was fun. Thank you.
You good.
Thank you.
So you can do it. It's fun for me now. Man, listen,
I've pondered on one, but I'm like, because I like the talking.
Yeah, but see, now you got it.
So
You know what to do now.
I'm like, who do I talk to or what do we talk about? It's like all those.